Okay, so welcome again to another Lightspeed CWB test day. We're going to cover a lot of things that are going to be on the board. I'm going to try not to miss any of these points because there are people here that have never tested before. We want to make sure that you guys get all the proper information that you need, okay? The first thing that we're going to start off with is, before we even get into any of this, all right? It's just another weld day, guys, okay? Relax, take your time, don't be getting all excited and nervous. If at any point in time you feel that when you're in your booth, or you're getting ready to go into your booth, or you're just standing out there waiting for your turn to get into the booth, if you get all anxious, a little excited, and you're not feeling quite good, it happens, just come and let me know, all right? We'll talk about it, and you'll be all right, okay? Second thing, this is not my day today, okay? I do not make the rules today. I cannot change anything that is going to be going on today as far as the inspector's instructions, okay? What he says goes. If he tells you he doesn't like something, you can't turn around and come to me and go, that's not fair, he's not right. No. He's the inspector, it's his day, all right? If he thinks that you are worthy of doing the test and carrying on with the test, whether he accepts your test or he doesn't accept your test. If he happens to fail you, it's because you failed the test. Not because he's being a jerk and he just doesn't want to give you a ticket, all right? You can't be leaving here all upset and pissed off because you think that he's been unfair. He is totally unfair. He has boundaries that he has to follow. There are limitations that he can allow and what he can't allow, and that's just the way it is, right? You got to do what he says. Right after we leave here, we're going to be going out into the shop. We're all going to be lining up just like little school children, so everybody's just not crowding around him. And he's just going to take one person at a time. He's going to ask you your name, what test you're doing. Once he finds your test, he's going to ask you, are you left-handed? Are you right-handed? Where would you like your stops to be? Okay? Before you weld, if you take your test into your booth and you realize that you told him the wrong information, and all of a sudden the line is on the wrong side, go back to him before you start the weld, and he will change it for you. Okay? This guy that's coming in today is a fantastic guy. All our CW guys are fair, and they're all great guys. They're here to make you pass. They want to see you get out there, use your brand new ticket or your requalified ticket to get out into that workforce and be a good welder and make a name for yourself. All right? With all that being said, let's start with the board here. This board right here is all drawn out so we have the number of booths that you're going to be going into. Booth number 1 to 4 is right here in the front. And then it goes 5 to 8 with the row behind it, and so on and so on. If you see your name in the box and you happen to be the third person, then there's 2 people going in there before you. It depends on how you called in. If you called in on a Thursday and I already had the list made on the Monday, then you're going third into the booth. There's no favoritism here or anything like that. It is what it is. All right? As you can see on the board, I have recommendations on how you should do your test, okay? I also have recommended amperages that you can set your machine at and volts for you to set your wire machines at, okay? They're only recommendations. If you happen to work at another company and you weld totally different than what these amps and volts say, you weld with what you're comfortable with doing, okay? I'm not here to change you on the test day, okay? You do what you like, all right? These are only our school recommendations. They're really accurate. If you look at any welding procedures, whether they're in companies or whether in training facilities, they're all going to be fairly similar. Give or take 2 or 3 amps or a couple volts, whatever. But they're pretty well accurate and you can do it the way you want. The way we weld the test, the procedures themselves on how you put the passes in, again, the recommendations. One thing that you have to remember, every CWB test has stop and starts, okay? you must do those stop and starts. If you do not do those stop and starts, let's say you just paid $185 to do a flat MIG test, and you went into your booth after you seen the inspector, and you welded right across the whole plate, and you did not do a stop and start, don't whine. You screwed up. Now, I'm not going to give you a free test. You knew the instructions before you started. We're part of the Ministry of Education here. It's business. If you screw your test up, it's $65 to do a second one. If you don't have the $65 on you at that point in time, I am going to take your word for it that you're going to go to a bank machine before the end of the day to come back and drop that $65 off. If you don't, I will hunt you down. All right? Because I'm going to have to pay for it. So, we're not, like I said, we're here to make sure you get your test. You're here for a reason. Okay? So, a couple of things. At 8 o'clock, Margie is going to be here. She is the lady that's going to be in the office who's going to be collecting your money. You must pay for your test before you start your test. If you do not pay for your test and you start your test and she comes and tells me you didn't pay, I'm going to come and see you for your money. If you don't have the money, you will be asked to leave immediately. All right? It has happened in the past. It's not tolerated here. It's not going to happen. All right? Second thing, talk about the board. Me and Fred. This is the most important thing you're going to learn today. If at any point in time you either feel anxious or you think you screwed your test up or you have a question or you want somebody to see your weld, do not go to the welding inspector. You come to me or you come to my partner Fred. He's the other part-time welding instructor that works here. He will be walking around. You can't miss him. He's like 6'7", 350 pounds. Well, you might get him confused with Mike, but besides that, he's about the biggest guy walking around here. All right? I mean, any questions, you come and get me. If I'm busy, you wait for me. Just do not continue on if you have a question or you screwed up your test. Don't just carry on, because there's things that I can do to help you out, give you a little bit of tricks, give you a little bit of advice on what you can do to actually make and pass that test. Okay? Water. We do have a water bin outside this classroom right here, just right around the corner. You never quench and cool off a test. Never. I don't care if your test is smoking, glowing red. You do not cool your test off. Never. You will fail. All right? Welding procedures. We talked about the procedures on the drawings here. Again, they're just recommendations. If you weld your test differently, like I said earlier, continue and do what you know, right? Direction of travel. When you start your test, you must travel in the same direction for every pass. You cannot do a weld to your stop and then go on the other end of your test and start on the end and come in. It's called stop and starts, not stop on stops or starts on starts, right? You stop, then you restart on that stop, you finish it to the end. You cannot backtrack into your welds. I don't care where you worked or who told you can do that. It's wrong, it's illegal. If you get caught, you will be asked to leave. You will fail, right? Retest, I already talked about that. I think I did. If you happen to fail a test today, you can do another test today again for a second time for the cost of $65. Okay? Providing the retest is before 12 o'clock. Now, we have a lot of tests that we're going to be doing today. So if I don't get your test back from the machine shop, because the machine shop is going to machine off your backing bar, he's also going to machine off your cap. If I don't get it back till after 12 o'clock and we test it and it fails, sorry, there's nothing I can do about it. We are not allowed to retest after 12 o'clock, okay? How slow the machine shop is doing all these tests, that's out of my control. I can't do it, right? So don't be whining at me. Oh, it's 5 after 12, I just found out I failed, I want to do it again. Sorry, I can't do it. We have to draw a boundary, right? Retest, restarts, drawings on the board we covered, machine and polishing. Well, the only thing you have to do today is weld your test, okay? When the tests come back from the machine shop with your backing bar and your cap machined down flat, I will do all the polishing for you. I will do all the cutting and the bending for you, and you will find out your results by the end of the day, if you stick around. If you can't stick around and you have to leave, then leave your number with me or put it on a piece of paper on my desk in my office, and I will call you. Chances are I probably won't, because I'm going to be busy as hell. Call me, right? Everybody call here to book the test, so you still got my number, right? You can call back before 5 o'clock and I'll let you know. Okay? Machining, we talked about that. Rod oven. The rod oven is right here, right behind this fridge on the other side of the wall. The middle shelf is 7018 1/8 electrodes. You must use 1/8 electrode on all your tests. You cannot use a 332 or a 532 like you would like to use on a job, or if anybody else has told you you can use different size rods. How they do their procedures in their shop is their business. CWB states that you have to do all tests for all position with a 7018 1/8 electrode. There's no exceptions. If you get caught using a 332, you're not going to get away with it, right? Why? Because you didn't see me? No. Because the weld size and the look of the appearance of the rod to a trained eye, that weld is going to stick out like a sore thumb. You will get caught, and you will be asked to leave, okay? So, don't fool yourself. Second thing, MIG machines. Guys, test that you check your gas to make sure you have enough pressure in the bottle. Check your flow meter to make sure you're using the correct amount of gas, which is 30 CFH, cubic feet per hour. Make sure you set that at 30, all right? Check your spool of wire. Make sure your spool of wire is sufficient. If you run out into the middle of your test, it's no big deal. You're just gonna have an extra restart on your test. You can put 1,000 restarts inside your test. It doesn't matter, okay? But the requirement is 2 in a certain area on your routes, okay? Flat test has 2 stop and starts, all right? Got 1 on this pass, 1 on this pass. On horizontal, you only have 1 stop and start, and that's on the top route, not on the first bottom corner route on the 90. That's a full pass all the way down, because that fillet actually got qualified when you did your flat. It's progressive testing, okay? We're going to talk about that in a second. Vertical, again, you have 2 stop and starts, and on overhead, again, you have 2 stop and starts. There are no exceptions. If you go past those stop and starts, you will fail. It's part of the instructions that he's going to tell you. Those stop and starts are there for a reason. Their stop and starts are measured out to the middle of your coupon, all right? So when I bend your coupon, your stop and start will be right in the middle of that coupon. If you go past that coupon and then you stop, too bad. Have a nice day. You must have a stop, all right? So, I have a brand new box of chalk that we have out on our table where we're all going to meet, and I want you to put that chalk there, right on the chalk line. So when you're doing your test, as soon as you move that chalk, you stop. If you forget to put your chalk on there and you go past that, have a nice day. Okay? No exceptions. When you're doing your horizontal, vertical, and overhead testing, that's called out of position. Once you tack that test up into position, you are never allowed to remove that from that spot. If you do, even if he's inspected your routes and he inspected everything and everything is a beautiful test, and you finish off your cap and you take it down and you show him, fail. He does not know that you did that cap in the flat position. He must come and inspect your cap in that position. Once he accepts your cap, then you're allowed to remove your test. If you remove it for any reason whatsoever, you will fail. That is a big rule, okay? So, don't come whining to me, I didn't know. No, you did know, I just told you, all right? I don't care if you spend $600 today. If you don't follow the instructors, the CWB instructors' rules, you will fail, okay? Trying to think of, I want to make sure I got everything in here. I think I pretty well do. Is there any questions at all? Or anything that you may think that I have forgot to mention?
So on the flat test, you could bring your plate to him, but the other ones you can't.
Correct. That's what we're gonna talk about right now. So here's
Horizontal. Bringing the horizontal.
huh?
You don't bring him.
Yeah, we already just talked about that. We leave the plates out of position, tacked up. You cannot bring it, right? You cannot take your horizontal down and show him, or your vertical, or your overhead. All right, that's twice I said that. So if you happen to do it, it's not my fault. So, flat tests, you are allowed to bring your test to him, okay? After you do your corner fillet to the first stop, you will take that test to the inspector, show him your first stop. He's going to accept it, and he's going to say, you're going to finish off your corner fillet to the end of your test plate, and you're going to do your second route to the second stop and show him again. So you're going to go back, you're going to repeat that, bring it back to him a second time. He's going to inspect the restart, and he's going to inspect your second stop. He's going to say, looks good, finish off your second route to the end, and show me again. So that's going to be a third time that you're going to show the inspector, okay? After he accepts it, he's going to say, I don't want to see your test anymore until your cap is complete. Then you show him your cap, okay? Only on the flat test, you can bring your test to him and show him, okay? Everybody understand that? I hope so. I've seen guys come in here and pay $380, and then right after, as soon as they started their horizontal test, they were asked to leave. It's the quickest $380 you're gonna spend if you don't follow the instructions. Okay? Again, it's the inspector's day, not mine. I'm just here to help you throughout the whole thing, all right? I think that's pretty well it. The rod cans for your electrodes are down the walkway on your left-hand side on the shelf. Remember, the oven is hot, all right? Make sure you put your gloves on before you grab those electrodes out of that rod oven, or you're gonna get woken up really quick, okay? When you put your rods into your rod can, make sure you put the bare side down into the can first. I'll put them down the other way. If you chip the end of the flux off your rod can, you drop them in too fast, that rod is ruined. If you don't know it, you happen to pick it out and you go to restart, you're gonna ruin your test because there's no flux on your rod. So, put the bare side down, okay? Mike?
What you mentioned earlier about if you went right through your route and you didn't stop, you'd be asked to leave, for example. That wouldn't be a fail and $65 for another plate.
Yeah, you would have, yeah, you could.
You might have that option.
You're going to come to me and you're gonna ask me if you're going to be allowed to do it the second time. And then I will talk to the inspector. If he thinks that you're not following instructions properly on purpose, then he's probably gonna deny you from doing the second test. If it's an honest mistake and you go past it just by a little bit, and he says that you're allowed to do a second one, it's another $65, okay? I'm gonna try to do whatever I can to try to talk him into doing things that people are going to make mistakes on. Usually he's pretty good, okay? Is there any other questions on this whatsoever? If somebody in your booth is welding MIG before you and you're getting ready to start a stick test, if you don't know how to change the machine over, come and ask me. I'll change it over for you and I'll set it all up for you, all right? We want it to be a good day, good happy day, so everybody can leave with their welding qualifications. Not a stressed out day, walking around like a ball of nerves. All right?
Where's the inspector coming in? Is Jim coming in?
The inspector will be here, he should be out there stamping our plates right now.
Is it Jim coming in or is the other guy?
Tell me, Jim.
A CWB inspector is coming. That's all I know. I have no idea who it is. We'll find out when he gets here. They're all trained the same.
Yeah.
They're all equally trained the same. Like I said earlier, if you happen to fail, it's because you made a mistake on the test. Has nothing to do with the inspector. The inspector has to follow his rules, that's all there is to it, right? So I don't know who it's going to be. By the way, this is Fred, this is the other instructor, so if you can't find me, you can find Fred.
Hi, Fred. This big.
Fred will help you out. Fred will help you out with anything you need, right? And I think that's pretty well it. So, does everybody understand exactly how this test day is gonna go? So, I seen Margie come in, so the first thing we're gonna do when we leave here, whoever has to pay Margie, we must see her as soon as we leave this classroom. If you start to weld your test without paying her, you'll be asked to leave, alright? Any more questions before we leave? Everybody feel good?
They're done. Good.
Confident?
We all feel confident.
Do what you know. You're all well trained, obviously. You came to the right testing center, all right? We will try to help you get through this day. Anything you need, just let us know. Okay, so, anybody that needs to pay Margie, we're gonna go out this door, around to the other side of the shop, inside my office door, line up and pay Margie, please, and then I'll meet you on the other side of the shop.